Okay, so we're gonna be playing Dwarf Fortress today. I don't think anybody's shown up yet, but that's what I do. I just talk to the camera for the first 5 minutes or so. Dwarf Fortress is a niche little fortress building, and it has an adventure mode too, but it's a neat little fortress building game where you are basically playing as a spirit embodying the will of a fortress, right? You are an overseer telling dwarves to do various things such as digging new tunnels and making beds, doors, bridges, all sorts of stuff. It's an exercise in creativity and sometimes sheer autism. Muted. I'm muted. Oh no. Can you hear me right now, Arthur? Or is it crumb. Well, this was going to happen eventually. Mic check. Hello. Please type any number if you can hear me talking right now. Okay, perfect. My mixer flubbed and must have reset the phantom power to the mic. Okay, so I don't know how much got cut out, but Dwarf Fortress. Basically, you're simulating a fortress filled with dwarves. You're playing as the overseer, the spirit of the fortress. Oh, hello, Thigh Jobs. How are you doing today? And Pig D6 and Arthur Abbott. Welcome to the stream. We started out with some mic scuff where my mixer flubbed the power to the mic. Oh, hello, JC. How are you doing? Anyways, the best way to deal with Dwarf Fortress as a topic is probably to hop straight into it. And this is a world that I generated the other day. So I did go ahead and find a decent embark site, I think. Oh, and what you're seeing right here is a calendar. Oh, you're eating Oreos, JC. Are you eating single stuffed dry Oreos? But here's our world map. You can see the screen is split into 3 panels, the local, the region, and the world. So where the X is flashing on the region and the world screen is the tile that's shown in the local view. Oh, you're eating single stuffed Oreos with milk, JC. I see. I see how it is. What I'd like you to do, JC, if you'll humor me for a moment, is just take the milk out of your mouth for a moment and eat one of those dry and tell me if it still holds up. Just humor me there, please. And yes, Egg, we're playing Dwarf Fortress today. What makes a decent embark site, Pig? Well, it depends on what you want to do with the fort. If you're looking for a more challenging thing, any old embark site will do. Like, let's see, using the numpad to move over here. Purple lands are usually haunted and filled with the dead. Although this doesn't seem to be a haunted area. It's more like Goblin Civilization, maybe. Here's a haunted area. A freezing, treeless, scarcely vegetated, haunted tundra. You wouldn't want to live here. You'd be surrounded by ghosts, the reanimating dead, and a general weariness of life. However, what makes it a passable location anyways is all of the stuff you see below the attributes all the way on the right end of the screen. Oh, and JC, you're refusing my request? How rude. I asked so nicely, too. So you've got shallow clay, so you have access to ceramics, potentially. You have very deep soil, so you have soil at some point underground, so you don't need to worry about trying to import or make soil to farm underground. You have a light aquifer, so you have a slow drip of nearly infinite water that is easy to punch through compared to a normal aquifer. And for those of you unfamiliar with Dwarf Fortress, aquifers are, well, they're exactly how they are in the real world, somewhat. It's a layer of water underground. For the purposes of the game, they're not fun to deal with, getting through them at first. And at some point, they separated them into categories of light and heavy aquifers, where light aquifers are only 1 or 2 layers deep instead of 1 to 5 layers deep, I believe. Oh, hello, magical girl. How are you doing today? And yes, I do like maps like this. I like the ASCII aesthetic, but this is not how the game will look for you if you just go over to Bay 12 Games and install the game. I have a tile set active right now that adds a few little graphics like plants and trees and proper mountains. But you can see there are still a lot of symbols on the screen. Yeah, we're going to be trying out Dwarf Fortress today. I don't remember the name of the tile set because this is an install that I found on my drive, so that I didn't have to do any special setup with the tile set. But anyways, this is a haunted tundra. Somebody asked what would be a terrible embark. What makes a good embark? This would be a bad embark for learning the game. No, I'm not using the Lazy Noob pack, and I'm not using any kind of exterior tools for this either. Just a tile set so that people don't wander in and go, oh, ASCII graphics, ooh, vomit. So it's a big world. Although this is it's big, but this is small terrain generation, so that I didn't have to wait for 4 hours for it to load and populate, because the world generation gets very in-depth, but that's an accessory to the game, really. So there's a handy search tool for the world map to find embark sites that you like. So we're looking for a place with a flux stone layer, possibly a light aquifer. It doesn't really matter to us. A river for sure. Shallow metal and deep soil. Yeah, loading anything larger than a small or a tiny world map is quite stressful in the generation phase. So we're just gonna search the world here, and you can see on the world map in the right panel, green X's are map tiles that contain a location matching our criteria. Ah, yes, 40,000 years of history that's generated that you'll never read. All right, so we have a giant area of flashing green X's that match our criteria here. So we can go ahead and browse the results. Supposedly. Is there a volcano here? There's a volcano here. Although it is flashing. There's a volcano here that has tiles. Unfortunately, it's an isolated mountainous volcano. That might have been fun. I've never done anything with magma in this game. And the last time I can remember playing Dwarf Fortress was 3 or 4 years ago, I believe. So we're going to be looking in this lower right area of the world here. It's temperate. It has some of what we're looking for. And there's some elevation. And there are actually map modes here, too. So if you press tab on the screen, you can get to the elevation map modes. So this is relative elevation. Looking at the local panel, it might be a bit small on the screen, but that's as big as it gets, really. And the cliff indicator. I find that the cliff indicator is better for finding areas that have a big height difference than the relative height map mode is. So if you see a lot of 6s in the local panel, that's a lot of 6 height terrain. And you can see that there's some 6 height terrain next to 3 height terrain there. So there will be a decent hill there, at least. So if I just pull up my reference, one moment. Yes, because I did find a spot that I somewhat liked the other day. I believe it was right here. Yes, where there's a fork in the river and some decent elevation. So we can press E to move on to the embark screen. And we are attempting a 5x5 tile embark, where a 4x4 tile is the default. This is the preparation screen, and this will probably be quite dry to a lot of you. I am not intimately familiar with how this works, but it is the default embark is quite bad. It sticks you with a lot of stuff that you could just make out of wood as soon as you get there. So I think we're going to be taking a couple laborers, skilled miner, skilled woodcutter, adequate carpenter, skilled miner, skilled woodcutter, adequate mason. And then, as you can see, there's a lot of granularity to the skills a certain dwarf can have here. The most important ones at the start of a fortress, I think, are mining, woodcutting, carpentry, and masonry. Although we will need a metalsmith, possibly an armorsmith too. And this can just be a general metal worker that knows what a furnace is. A wood burner is important somewhat for turning wood into ash, which gets turned into potash, which is fertilizer. So we can have a wood burning, furnace operating, wood cutting carpenter that crafts wood. So this is 2 miners, right? No, I only have 1. No, I have 2 miners. Okay. A gem cutter so that gems don't go to waste. What is my suggestion for point distribution? Sardriner, I am not familiar with this game enough, I think, to answer that question very well. But as far as points go on individual dwarves, I think it's best to max out the skills, because for the first few months, in-game months, you're going to be stuck with the dwarves that you embark with, unless you get a lucky, well, a lucky or unlucky, depending on your situation, an early migrant wave. Okay, so we have mining, carpentry, masonry, woodcutting, metalworking, furnace, woodcrafting, gem cutting, setting, Engraving. Building designing. Building designing incorporates a lot of things. Like, I believe building workshops might use that skill, since those are considered a building. We didn't give any levels or metal crafter to weaponsmithing, so we'll need a different weaponsmith. And he can be a better stone crafter and a mason. 2 points on this man, and we're running out of general points on the bottom of the screen now, so we might want to take some levels out of some of these dwarves. Make them 8-point investments instead of 10-point investments. Adequate. Except for the miners. Mining skill affects how fast tiles are dug out, so it's best if you have skilled miners. Because while dirt will get mined instantly by almost any miner, stone can take quite a while to mine through if your mining skill is shite. Now, I don't really know what to do with this last dwarf. We have a lot of the basic crafting down. We have multiple woodcutters and miners. Oh right, we need a farmer. I'd almost forgotten about that. So levels in growing, brewing, cooking, because we need to eat and drink too. Milling and threshing, I'm not sure about that. I think anybody can do those without skill mostly successfully. And I have also neglected textiles here. So what can we do there? Since we have a furnace operator, we can take the level out here. Put it down into where is cloth working? Weaving and cloth working. A novice is fine. Alright, so that should do it for the dwarfs and their skills, I believe. And now for the items. A very important item that you shouldn't discard is an anvil. However, crutches, let's see, it should be minus. Yes, crutches, splints. We can keep a bucket. We don't need quivers. Thread, cloth, bags, and ropes are all fine to keep. How many cats are we bringing? Egg, I don't think we're going to be bringing many cats. But we can bring ducks. I think ducks lay eggs. Eggs are nice. Cats don't lay eggs. Two cats. Now, tell me, Suspect Sorcerer, why should we bring cats? Because if I remember right, and this did get patched out, cats used to get their paws drunk by stepping in puddles of alcohol, and then they licked their paws, and then they would die from toxic shock from consuming too much alcohol by licking their alcohol-coated paws. These prepared intestines are food. Apparently we're taking a female pond, 2 female pond turtles. The rest of these, plump helmets, rock nuts, and seeds. We're not tossing out the seeds or the spawn. We can bring the beer and the ale because they come with containers. They come with barrels to hold them at the start, I believe. And we have 2 picks and 2 battle axes. The battle axes are also used to chop down trees, I'm fairly certain. So just checking that we don't Okay, we need a... Yes, we just need 2 axes and 2 picks. So this gives us 163 points to mess around with in the item/animal selection. Right. So chat seems to want cats. Chat, what's your argument for bringing cats? Because we could definitely bring cats. We could bring a female and a male cat. Cats are a funny meme. Sure. We'll bring 1 pair of cats. I don't know if pond turtles lay eggs, so I will discard... Oh, 15 female pond turtles with no male pond turtles. They're definitely not getting any eggs out of that. So we can be lame and bring a rooster and a couple roosters and probably a dozen hens. And that'll make more. That should make more chickens than you would, more chicken eggs than you know what to do with. Now I'm unsure how to get to the item page, since you have the dwarves here and the items here. I forget how to cycle away from animals to other items. But what we can do instead of adding... Oh, we don't need... Do we really need a step ladder? Now hold on just a minute here. For any of you that are considering learning Dwarf Fortress yourself, I encourage you to have the wiki available to you at all times. Yes, 2 cats. Only 2 cats. Although it is a breeding pair, so we may be overrun with kittens eventually. Alright, instead of killing a bunch of time looking for the way to get to the actual items, I will instead just increase the skills of our dwarves until we run out of points. I think that's a fair plan. And this one can be a mason as well. Or not, because the mason requires a workshop. So just more engraving. You two, very easy. Better miner. Better woodcutter. And a millsmith. And we are left with 1 point, and we will hit the embark button. And yes, the game is hanging while it's generating the map for us, as Dwarf Fortress is wont to do. This is also the part where I cross my fingers. Oh, there we go. We have arrived. After a journey from the mountain homes into the forbidding wilderness beyond, your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all of Zugob. Ah, yes, that's something that I had almost entirely forgotten about. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Animals as Leader. Ah, yes, I did get a button at the end of the last week. I am yet to be aware of this, if this is a mistake or not. Mostly because Twitch likes to show people ads. But we'll see how it does. I can walk out of that if that's a problem. But yes, this game likes giving funny sounding names to things because there's a fake-ish language of the dwarves. So our nation is apparently called Zugab Silab. I will have to find a screen where that tells us what it means. And yes, I would call this I think this falls into the genre of American primitive guitar egg. The music is very nice. FPS. Oh, cats can cause FPS death. I see. Chad is playing a prank on me. Well, we might have to drown the cats then. In fact, that might be one of the first things we do. Is if we get some water set up in a cistern, we can make a floodgate for a drowning chamber and drown some cats. Yes, we're going to lock the cats in a room, a cold, dark, stone room, put a floodgate a Z level above them, and flood their chamber. We're going to drown the cats. Yes, I said it. Animal gelding. I don't think I've ever gotten to animal gelding in Dwarf Fortress. In fact, animals are something new to me. I have only relied on farming in the past, but we're going to be trying animals because animals make for good fun. Anyways, for the glory of all of Zugab-Salab, there are almost no supplies left, but with stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves. You are expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you, but it is spring now, enough time to delve secure lodgings ere the cougar men get hungry. A new chapter of dwarven history begins here at this place. A Kalabak, voice pillar, strike the earth. I will pretend I understand too. So immediately you're met with a big screen. I think it's tab. Yes. So there is a list of commands. Everything that you can do at the moment is in that list of commands with hotkeys. There's a mini-map of the area with the yellow X indicating where we are looking at. There's a slider, or rather a bar, on the right side of the screen showing what Z level we are looking on relative to where the game thinks where the game thinks the Earth meets the sky. So if it's brown, there's an Earth layer. And if I go one or two more up, yes, we should be getting less and less ground. And this is the highest Z level, 146. Yes, 146 is the highest Z level we have access to on the map with Earth. And our dwarves are down here at 140. Ah! We finally reached the point where we're getting Twitch spam. Allow me a moment to take care of this. Yeah, we got triple spam posted there. Very nice. Oh, Pig, you've got to tap out, and you'll catch the VOD. Yeah, thank you for dropping by. I'll see you later. That would be a good advertisement. Sexy Frankish women for you to pillage. Yes. Alright, where were we? Oh yeah, so this game encompasses a lot of verticality. There are multiple Z levels, many hundreds of them. We will be digging down into the earth for our fortress. And it seems, if we look, we have some stone available to us immediately. Jet. Oh, is that a gem? Yes, we got bloodstone just sticking out of the mountain. Okay. So we'll be digging down. We'll be making some nice looking I hope, ramps. We should eventually find an aquifer, and then have to deal with that. And the game is paused right now, so we'll just dispense with the minimap and make the commands smaller. There should be a designation for, yes, chopping down trees. So we will just have... And the amount of automation in this game is quite low, typically. But skilled dwarves should have appropriate jobs assigned to them. So the 2 woodcutters that we have should immediately default to cutting trees, since they have skill and tools. Since the color should have changed slightly for a few of the O's on screen, which are tree trunks. Those are trees marked to be cut down. So for now we will, I think it's, yes, it's Z for removing upstairs and ramps. We will cut away these ramps here and begin marking designations for digging. So we'll dig a fair way in. Channel down. These will be hollowed out. Channel down. Channel down. And how far up are we? We're at 138. And the river is at 135. Okay. So right now we're marking tiles to be channeled, which is... Ooh, not those. I've forgotten how to undesignate something. X, there it is. So channeling is shorthand for digging a ramp down. We will be channeling down 135. Where the water is. And all of this on the screen right now should be stone when we get to it. So for now, let's just unpause and watch the dwarves cut down trees and do some digging. And you can see the tiles flashing yellow and green there. Or rather, just the tiles flashing yellow are tiles being worked on. And I did do something a little boorish of me, and that was to give the same dwarves that I want to dig wood cutting. So as long as there's tiles to be mined, they should be prioritizing mining instead of anything else. Okay, so what kind of stone do we have down here? We're still in siltstone. Okay. So the actual stone. Oh, we've got gypsum, limonite. Okay, unimportant minerals. Yes. Not downstairs. Channels. Because we want ramps. And back down the dwarves go. Gabbro. Okay, we're in the rock layer. That is perfect. We have one more channeling designation. And since this is not water, we have not reached the aquifer yet, and we are in a stone layer, so we are free to begin digging out the actual stone structure of the fortress. And we will do this mostly, at first, by designating hallways to be dug with the mining designation. So a simple 2-tile wide hallway. And open into an expanding meeting hall. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. And collapse. Hallway. Hub area. One of those is a bit longer than the others. Okay. Yes, we're digging straight into the mountain immediately. This is what I like to see. Some people will tell you that it's best to set yourself up on the surface before doing anything, but I like getting straight into the rock. I think there's something homely about living in a cave. Take a look here. Some more limonite. And I've used the wiki to spoil for me that limonite is actually a source of iron. It's an iron mineral. So we have access to iron right now, which is very nice. And you can see where that dirt channeling was taking split seconds. Cutting through the rock here is somewhat taxing for the dwarves. It's getting broken much more slowly. But while we're waiting on that, a building, a workshop, a carpenter's workshop. I see somebody's been cutting trees up here, which is handy. So we can set a carpenter's workshop right up here to be built out of... Oh... call it pine logs. And now where's the jobs? Order, set order? No. There's a certain command to make workshops produce what you want. Forget if it's not by looking at it. I am deep in contemplation of where it could be in the interface. Not a designation. That will place another carpenter's workshop. Yeah, we'll let the stone mining continue. So as you may be able to tell, I'm very much a novice with this game. I have a little bit of surface level information about it, but I am not a veteran by any means. So if you do have any advice for me, chat, please feel free to shout it out, including funny troll advice like cats that will breed and destroy the processing cycles of the game, because I quite like that in hindsight. Ah, yes, there it is. It's Q. I have no idea why it's Q. Ah, it's not built yet. That's why. Oh yes, babies mounting their mothers. Sounds like a fun time. They're just carried like little objects now, aren't they? We go up to one of these silt layers. You know, I should have put spacers in between these. This will look ugly, but it'll work. I have a temporary stockpile on that first dirt layer. And if we go up here, we can have some farm plot shenanigans. In Mundo, the only things you know are 2 cat and long patch things like characters having berserk and mental breakdowns over deaths. Yes, the emotional spirals. I heard that the devs have mostly made emotional spirals like that for individual dwarves. Less common, I think. No, I'm not doing this right at all. Alright, so 6 spaces for designated farm plots should be more than enough, and this room here, we're going to put a lot of rough stone in for the moment, until we have a proper place to dump items. Ah yes, I believe I mentioned the cats licking spilled alcohol off themselves. They'd step in it, and yes, it was patched. They'd step in it and they'd lick their paws, and the paws would never get dry, so they would become infinitely drunk. Serpentine. I wonder if that's a gem. I believe... Oh, platinum! We've got iron, some gems, and platinum. Already. How interesting. Alright, so it's about time to set a room. So if we're treating this like a main entry hall, meeting hall for now, we need somewhere for people to sleep. So we can have a 4x4 or 5x5 dormitory here, which we will fill with beds. An infinite amount of cats being infinitely drunk inside your base. Yes, they would eventually die and then really, really stink up the place. Oh, and welcome to the stream, Leon and Alice. How are you doing today? Smoky quartz. We're getting a lot of gems here. I believe it is R. Ah, has the Carpenter's workshop been completed while we were staring at the dwarves mining? Yes, it has been. Okay, so we will need some basic furniture. We should make, I believe, 2 beds to start off with. So we're just adding tasks here. You can see the list of things that it's possible to make inside this workshop right now. 2 chairs, 2 tables. Screw it. 3 chairs and 3 tables. Ah yes, the dwarves. We're just starting out. We spent about 20 minutes talking and walking through the embark process, where I got lost in the item selection screen. Alright, so now one of our carpenters should be taking all of these logs from the felled trees up here and turning them into furniture for us. And has the upper digging begun yet? No. But we are done with the lower floor for now. Nope. They must have missed a spot. Is that gold? No, it's just gypsum. Tricking me. But we have access to a fair amount of metals at the moment. And we're getting our initial stone pile dug out. Our farm plots dug out. Very good. This should be suitable loam. Yes, good. In order to farm, you require mud or soil to be the floor. So, if I could, I would love to have farming going on in the stone layer that we're attempting to inhabit at the moment. And we will move deeper over time, where once you get below water, it becomes easy to irrigate potential farming areas. But this will do for now, just fine. And we should also probably... the beds are done. Is this where nest boxes are made? Animal traps and cages. Beds. Well, we can find that later. Right now we should be designating, rather building, I believe it's BP, yes, farm plots. So we'll be placing a farm plot here. Each one of these 3x3 rooms we're digging out will be a farm plot. This should be more than enough to sustain us for a while, since farm plots are, for some reason, incredibly efficient for how much space they take up. Which dwarf is this that's doing the digging? This is Dishmab Umomatis. His last name means sore stakes. And this is one of the more autistically detailed portions of the game. All you're seeing right now is generated text describing the looks and personality. I believe looks are on this page. Or is this just his... This might just be his thoughts and personality. Yes. So this is everything going through this specific dwarf's head right now. So he's satisfied from working. He's 53 years... Oh, no, there's the physical description under his age. He's 53 years old, born in the year 72. Yes, his very long sideburns are braided. His medium-length mustache is arranged in double braids. His very long beard, what's a dwarf without a beard, is arranged in double braids. His very long hair is braided. He seems to be quite fond of braiding his hair. He has very low cheekbones, and he has a round chin. His somewhat short ears have nearly fused lobes. His eyebrows are quite dense. His nose bridge is concave. His slate gray eyes are slightly closed set, and his hair is sandy taupe. His skin is pink. So we've got a pretty standard brown-haired, pinkish dwarf there that's quite fond of braiding his hair. And he's digging out our farm plots right now. Did I welcome you to the stream, Odiocities? I don't believe I did. In that case, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? I believe I need to set these farm plots. Yes. Right now, we're going to be defaulting to plump helmets, because those can be easily turned into drink. Is there oh, this is also a stone layer. There's some stone here. Ah, what a shame. I was assuming that it was all siltstone, and that would have been pretty easy to get through. And yes, the farms are subterranean, but they are not in a stone layer. See, if you can see here, the floor is gabbro. The floor is stone here, down where we're digging to living quarters. And if we go up to where we're putting the farm plots, the floor is loam and red sand. So you need loam, you need soil, you need mud, you need some form of earth to plant in. You can't grow things out of stone. However unfortunate that is. And eventually this makeshift staircase will get sealed up and we'll have a proper entrance down here. Probably going southwards and upwards to where the mountain meets the river in these stagnant ponds. Yes, magical girl, dwarves always do find a way. And yes, subterranean crops have no need for sunlight, but you can grow normal terrestrial crops like carrots and potatoes too. However, it is much safer to grow inside the safety of your holes dug into the mountain. So this will be growing plump helmets all year round, as will this plot. And honestly, those two 3x3 plump helmet farm plots will probably be enough to feed and sate the thirst for drink of our dwarves for a while, unless we get more migrants quickly. What's our carpenter doing? Oh, he's almost done. Okay. So if that... Yes, okay, so the stockpile room here is done. We will be making it entirely for stone, indiscriminate of the stone's value or weight category. So this entire room should be filled with stone. And this will not nearly cover the amount of stone that we have already mined, I believe, but it will be a good start, and there are things we can do later to push a lot of goods onto one tile instead of having a big room for that. As for the next digging designations, we're going to want to, on our stone floor, I think going off to the right should be the living quarters, so if we go in the opposite area, just like cities in the real world, you don't want people living next to your factories. They'll have a terrible quality of living. The dwarves will get uppity from hearing the sounds of work all day and night. So if we go far enough down in a hallway here, we should be able to make an area suitable for most workshops. And we have an engraver, which I believe uses the same skill as smoothing, so we will also have the engraver that should be doing nothing right now come down here and make what we do have at the moment pretty. The proper thing to do is to dig the walls out one more in every direction and build walls to replace them. But smoothing is a good alternative. So we're just getting the fort set up still right now. And since all of that furniture is done, I didn't see the crafts dwarf in his workshop. We can place tables and chairs in the meeting hall. So it looks like he's made them out of different types of wood. Seat, chair. Ooh, no. That is a mistake there. Building feet. I've misplaced one of the chairs. I feel like a fool. What's so dangerous about the outside world? No, the outside world is full of goblins and beastmen and vampires and were-creatures and all sorts of things that want to eat you, and dwarves aren't exactly the most competent fighters alone by nature. By any measure of nature. So I need to cancel that? No. Is there an which one of these removes? Well, we can figure out how to move that chair in a moment. Yeah, sometimes there are just dragons and cyclopes and creatures 50 times your size also. The world is not exactly a very safe one in Dwarf Fortress. Alright, so we have our planter working away at the fields. Perhaps we should tell our carpenter to make some doors as well. And also barrels. Barrels might be good. So, chat, how many of you have experience with wood or stoneworking? I do have a little story to tell here. I just want to see if any of you have anything to say first before I get into it. You can see our engraving dwarf. Oh, did I miss a spot? No, perhaps he just can't reach it. Our engraving dwarf is working away, making our hallway look prettier down there. Smoothing everything out. Bunzel, I mostly mean with hand tools for woodworking. Like craft working, not carpentry, not building a home. Oh, you've done a lot of woodworking. Ah, that's good to know. Perhaps I can come have you raise a barn for me at some point. Alright, this workshop area is dug out, so we can place some workshops there. My experience with woodworking is mostly in the craft department. I have done work with very small amounts of wood to make little wooden silhouette pendants, mostly of animals, as gifts in the past. So what do we need here exactly? We need a... Yes, we need to move the carpenter down here. And use some of the logs that we have hundreds of. Yes, they are quite cute. My favorite was a a horse that I had done for a friend's birthday. And then a goat the year after for the same person. Since they have a lot of friends and family that do a lot of farm work, they spend a lot of time on and near farms and ranches. Right, the farmer's workshop. I had forgotten about that being a thing. So we can back out and designate a sensible location for the farmer's workshop. Up with the farms that will get dug eventually. And as for stoneworking, I would be quite surprised if anybody here today has any experience with stoneworking, since that's a little bit of a dead art. It's a very specialized trade, but it's something I've considered doing in the past. We need a mason's workshop. And probably a jeweler. Oh, Bunsley, you've done stonework too. Oh, and Sardrena, you've done stonework too. Huh. What kind of work have you done with stone? Because I'm mostly talking about from a masonry perspective, like cutting, stone cutting. Either for crafts or for construction. Oh, and we need a still. Which we can build out of applewood logs. That'll be nice. And then space for more workshops. And Bunsley, you've done some masonry both with and without power tools, and carving with Dremels and hand tools. Oh. What is masonry like with power tools? Have you ever performed that act of cracking a stone, like a quarry stone, by putting pit spikes in it? Oh, a lot of water. Ah, that makes sense, to cool the head of the tools. Yes. Oh, and there's a scout badge associated with stoneworking. I would never have expected that. We need to put beds in here and designate this as a dormitory so the dwarves don't just collapse everywhere. Because they do need to sleep. You haven't had to split boulders? Darn. That always looks like such a fun thing to do. It's like a lot of setup for a big payoff. I like that kind of thing sometimes. What do we need here? We need a kitchen. Actually, we don't need to put the kitchen with the rest of the workshops. We can have the kitchen be closer to where people are going to be eating, which might make sense. Rooms. No. I am missing the command for this. Oh, Aura's Rune is raiding with 15 people. Hello. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? How are you all doing? We're just playing some Dwarf Fortress here today. I'm quite new to playing Dwarf Fortress. I haven't touched it in a large number of years. Ah, rats, we can't have the kitchen placed like that. You can see that the darker tiles of the workshops that we've been placing are unable to be walked through. You bring many dwarves much beer and the wisdom of the Kia. Ah, quite pleasant. Well, welcome to the Fortresser's Rune. Thank you for bringing your beer, especially. And yes, Simi, we are dorks in this fortress today. Place the kitchen there, build it out of stone, and then importantly, attached to the kitchen, we can have a room where we will dump food. We do need to build a wall where we intended a wall to be. Currently, we haven't had any migrants show up yet. For those of you joining us. There's where we're dumping all our stone. Oh, and the trees are in bloom. What kind of trees are these? Peach trees? Yes, peach trees. And sand pear. And that's probably enough barrels out of you. I don't even know where you've been putting those barrels. Perhaps it's an L. No. Yes, there it is. Alright, that room's assigned as a dormitory. Perhaps selecting this one will give better results. Yes. And there's a meeting hall. So now the dwarves will go to where those tables and chairs are set up to eat. And while we have a couple dwarves napping in the beds there, have you had any interesting dreams recently, chat? My most recent, interesting dream. Inexplicably, I felt like I was surrounded by entirely by a pink warmth. Right? And there was a soft glow to it, but I couldn't see. And I had snapped out of that, awake, up one level, so to speak, where I was suddenly stark naked in the Sahara under a full moon, with nothing and no one around but miles and miles of sand dunes. And after staring at the moon for quite some time, I woke up. Yes, it's not particularly fancy or profound, but it's just strange. I think it's interesting just because of how strange it felt. We were going to put a farmer's workshop. W. There it is. Just use whatever's available. That is units. We have 4 idols here. Miner, a woodworker. Right. We need a craft workshop for the woodworker. In Policy of Madness, you once had a dream where you went back in time to high school, 1989, knowing everything you know now with the chance to do it all over again. Is that the plot of a movie? That sounds familiar. Although that always is an interesting concept, exploiting knowledge that you shouldn't have. And Urzrun, you regularly have dreams where you're back in high school or college and there's one class you completely blew off and need in order to graduate, and you're frantically trying to fix it. Ooh. I won't get into that, but there could be some deeper psychological meaning in there. You might want to write about that. I find that writing about dreams can help you look at them from an external viewpoint and thus understand them from a more objective perspective, instead of in the abstract that you're left with after waking up. Alright, Craft Dwarf's Workshop. Finally put that chair where it should have been in the first place. Panic from bipolar disorder. Ah, see, that makes sense. That's a common emotion for people with bipolar disorder to have. I would say just be glad that you can get that medication now. This might fly over some people's heads, but I should do the obligatory shout out. Always take your meds. Always do your reps. Could be Gabriel. Build a door for the kitchen there so we don't get animals wandering in. And one of these is a carpenter's workshop, so we can have another door built there. Replace it. Oh, nerd, you're not taking your meds, swear to God? Oh, come on. You know you need to take your meds. And yes, somehow, and this is absolutely inexplicable as I lace my voice with sarcasm, high school lingers with people years and years after it's over. I wonder what throwing a bunch of people in the defining phases of their early life into a room together filled with other people that don't really want to be there, I wonder what kind of impact that could possibly have on people's psyches. It truly is a shame. For many people, that kind of thing is something that should be opt-in There are so many people that just check out mentally, that don't want to be there. Farmer cancels prepare easy meal, need unrotten, cookable, solid item. Ah. We might not be growing food. Or not enough food. I will set more farm plots to food to remedy this. Now we're out of seeds for plump helmets. That shouldn't be the case. We're waiting on that to be built. Might be why. Prepared food barrel, bayberry seed, ale, beer. Empty barrels. Oh, Zero, you get university-related nightmares. Oh no. Yeah, Bunzel, we don't talk about those kinds of social experiments. They're quite taboo. Yeah. Mundo, that's quite a long comment there. Give me a second to read it. As a kid, you had a recurring dream of this one place for no reason was scaring the hell out of you, but you had no idea what the place was, hadn't seen it, had no connection to it, and one day your family drove into a small town and it was there. An abandoned factory, and you were too scared to go anywhere closer to it and wanted to get away. Yet, that's a particular kind of deja vu. It's like kind of future sight deja vu in dreams. I've experienced something similar with specifically with text messages. Occasionally I'll have a dream of a text message, and then a couple days or a week or a month later, I will find myself reading something that I have seen word for word, letter for letter, line for line, in a dream. It's inexplicable. It happens. All you can do is deal with it. Because you're unlikely to get any insight out of it unless you're somehow taking it seriously and recording every single dream that you have related to other people. And yes, it does freak me out sometimes, but I've grown accustomed to it. And sorry for taking so long to get to this policy of madness. You have recurring dreams of a massive fish tank that shows up in various places in the middle of other dreams, and you're feeling guilty about it because you haven't fed the fish since your last dream many weeks ago. Oh no. Those poor fish. The dwarves are just kind of existing here. I need to find the view screen that will show me how much food and drink we have, roughly. Not the report screen. Not the stockpiles menu. Is it units? No. When Salahander, a few years ago, you had a dream, most of it forgotten quickly, and you were sure it was bizarre dream stuff that didn't make sense. But you were being chased by zero-day Adventists. Ah, you're spending too much time with info security. That does make sense. Alright, I think the next step here is to possibly expand this hallway. Turn the area behind the dormitories here into individual lodging. And for all I care, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Alright, that dormitory can just be an isolated room for now. Stockpile should be close to the workshop, so we don't want to dig out any stockpile rooms there. And then if we go off to the right here, we have a hallway. Simple 3x3 rooms. Branching off of hallways. One magical girl, you have a dream to share too. Your most emotional dream that you've ever had was spending the day with someone who doesn't exist, and you woke up crying. Ah. I can somewhat heavily relate to the concept of that dream. It seems the spacing on these rooms has worked out quite well. Almost unintentionally. I did not count this out beforehand. But that should get us 12 rooms there, with plenty of room for more. We should set... One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's make 10 beds for now. Dreams really do mess with you emotionally a lot because of how direct access they have to parts of your brain that are... I don't mean this in a direct or as an insult, but parts of your brain that aren't active while you're awake. Aren't in use ever, really. As conscious, verbally communicating creatures, there are parts of our brains that we don't consciously use. And sometimes, by choice or not, emotional access at a conscious level is something that is discarded. So when you have sights, sounds, smells, feelings that you aren't experiencing reach you in a dream, they can impact you more than if they had happened to you in reality. Just because you're not able to consciously prepare yourself for dealing with that kind of event. Now, moving on to a different use of the word dream. Chat, what is something that you think that you would like to do, given the opportunity? What would be your dream activity or dream job, so to speak? Assuming that you had... Oh, it's summer for the dwarves now. And we need to dig out, reminding me, an area for the chickens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no, that won't do. Offset 6 by 6 so that we can dig stairs down later. And put a door on it. Speaking of doors, if we go all the way up here, we put some doors here. Oh, you're an urban planner policy. That's interesting. What do you do in urban planning? Mostly plan out new streets? Or are you involved with like sewer lines too? For me, my dream job or my dream activity would just be going to space. Anything that has to do with space, I would like to do it. Sewage is handled by other people, you say. Interesting. Once the cats stop messing around with the food barrels. This is something I'd forgotten to do earlier. We need to keep it tightly closed so that the cats don't go in and eat everything by themselves. Imagine being a sewage boy. Oh, yes. I'd imagine that's one of the jobs, like the garbage man, where you're well compensated and the work really isn't that bad, but there will be certain classes of people that make fun of you to no end. Undeveloped or underdeveloped land and moving it to a higher, better use. Ah. I believe the derogatory phrase for that is gentrification, is it not? That's a buzzword that used to get tossed around, I think, in the 80s, and is still in use today. No, it's a different thing for sure, but I believe it has at least a tangential relation to planned development. How are our farms doing? We are out of Plump Helmet spawn, and the construction has not been completed on the farmer's workshop, so I cannot remedy this immediately. Yes, the word does have negative connotations. Although this is veering a little too close to politics for my tastes. Now, I believe I mentioned on the road tripping stream that we did on Thursday, towards the end of it, that I had been to aquariums in the past, and I kind of glossed over my visit to the Tampa Bay Aquarium, I believe at the start of 2019, I think it was. While I was there, I got to touch a manta ray. That was very nice. They just have an open tank where the manta rays are swimming around, and you can walk up to it and touch one lightly on the back. They're quite soft. They're silky smooth. It's a very pleasant experience. And if any of you ever have the opportunity to touch a manta ray in a safe environment where you won't possibly confuse it for a stingray, as I have at a beach in the past, then I would recommend you do so. You're talking specifically about turning gas stations into restaurants and fields into industrial development. I see. Alright, one of these is a mason's workshop. There it is. We can cut blocks on repeat to deal with this massive stone that we have already accrued. Oh, one of the cats has managed to get itself trapped in the kitchen. How unfortunate. Oh, a brownfield is a specific word for a contaminated site. Oh, I had no idea. Is one of these a craft store? Yes. Nest boxes is what we're looking for. Wooden nest boxes. Yes, there we go. Alright, we'll just leave those on repeat. And we should probably begin digging out a main stockpile area. This is going to be 6 wide and 8 tall, so I want to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 4, and then also a door on the other side. So that will be our initial first stockpile unit, and we'll probably put wood in there. Yeah, urban planning is a little interesting now that I know specifically what you meant by it. I was thinking more along the lines of civil engineering when you'd first mentioned it. Civil engineering is something that I had briefly considered as a career before learning the amount of education required to enter the profession. Yes, I would imagine that you do work with civil engineers a lot. And you know what, we'll just... This gold now. No, orthoclase. Not made of gold. The farmer is currently doing nothing, and the expedition leader is... I forget how to see his skills specifically. Annoyed dwelling upon... Yeah, he's been accosted by slugs. And he doesn't have a proper room, which is something we're attempting to remedy. 5, 6, 7. What else? Digging, sleeping, detailing floor, and cutting blocks. Okay. Yes, by slugs. I wonder how slugs could have possibly accosted him. Perhaps he was walking down one of our halls and slipped on a particularly large and slimy slug. Would that count as being accosted, do you think? Alright, we really need to take a better look at our food situation here, since I am unsure if the dwarves are eating properly. So allow me a moment. And I hope this more laid-back stream, where there's a bit more dead air, isn't too much of a problem for all of you in the chat here. I'm talking a lot less, and I feel a bit less focused than I normally am. But this is the first time I've been playing Dwarf Fortress in quite a while. Ah, yes, he could have been chased by a slug. A very slow speed chase indeed. I can picture it now. A high speed slug chase. The slug is doing its best, and the dwarf is just groggily stumbling forward. And the slug might be wearing one of those old-timey police hats. You know, the thin visored brim hats that kind of puff up and maybe have a spike on or a badge mounted on the front. dwarves yet. Some more beds to put in these, though. Perfect. How's that stone stockpile looking? Still pretty full. Stone. Be using this whole area as a stone stockpile too. And yes, dwarves do that to your brain. Kind of short circuit everything. There's the menu I was looking for. It's under Z, status. So, since we don't have a dwarf that's skilled in appraisal, we only have rough estimates of how much stuff we have. So we're quite low on drink. We have a decent amount of food for how many dwarves there are. And we need more seeds. Okay. So, going back up to check on the carpenter's workshop, or the farmer's workshop, and it's still not done. Needs any workshop farming. I have no idea what that means. Perhaps it means we need a workshop related to farming. And yes, appraisal is generally for knowing how much your fort is worth, but as you can also see, you need the appraisal skill to see more information on your food stores. Or a bookkeeper, right. That's a good point, actually. We may have made a mistake by cooking so early. We may have destroyed all of the plum helmet seeds we had by cooking them indiscriminately. Yes, that could be a problem. Yes, we don't have any plum helmet seeds, which is a problem. Okay. So what are we growing instead? Cave wheat, I suppose. I wonder if you can blacklist plump helmets from being cooked in the kitchen. I'm not sure if you can. I did make a still here. We will just brew drinks from plants on repeat for now. I'm surprised this hasn't spiraled into total chaos yet. Honestly. Under the Z kitchen menu. Ah. Excellent. Thank you very much, policy. Yes, keyword yet, nerd, indeed. on stockpiles, building a door. Most people are hauling things right now. Yes, I've turned the kitchen is off. They are not cooking, and I did see some active plots maybe in the farm for the plump helmet plots, so we should be able to brew some seeds out of them yet. Not cooking seeds. I did not see that in the kitchen. Ah, seeds. Yes, okay, so they all have cook off by default. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It's excellent to have somebody in chat that can provide answers to some more obscure UI elements like that. It's not particularly obscure, I'd imagine, if you are familiar with the game. But in my case, I am not. Alright, so we should have some doors to put on these rooms now. Yeah, 4 doors. That's enough. And then we can designate them as bedrooms. Yep. Just leave them unassigned and the dwarves should take care of them themselves. And I can do that with the rest of the beds as well. And this is mostly to get rid of the inherent mood penalty that sleeping in a shared space provides. Nest boxes. How are the nest boxes coming? Build nest box. We haven't had any nest boxes built yet. Unfortunate. I would like to get those chickens out of the meeting hall and into this room that is attached to the kitchen. I suppose it would be helping if our wood crafting dwarves didn't have to go all the way up to the surface to grab a log. But we're waiting on our miners, who are currently hauling stones. We might want to have the carpenter make a couple of wheelbarrows so that these haulers do their jobs faster. Quarry bushes provide tons of foods, but you have to cook the leaves to make them edible, and you need bags to process the plants. Ah. So what you're saying is we should grow some pigtails and turn that into cloth and turn that into bags so that we can grow quarry bushes to solve our food problems. That would make sense. I really want the dwarves to finish digging out this room here. Can I edit a stockpile? No, but if I'm making a generic wooden stockpile, then it doesn't really matter if I can edit it or not. Alright. We are slowly approaching the 2-hour mark here, and my brain is beginning to fry. Although we are most of the way to setting up this fortress. Quarry bushes are high value and they improve mood. Ah. Well, we might have to explore quarry bushes. Then I think the limiting factor at the moment would be bags. since I'm not sure if we have any, and we don't have the capability to make them quickly, as I don't believe we have any dwarves skilled in clothworking. Unless you can somehow make bags out of wood. But I think it's time to start wrapping up here. So if anybody from the chat has any questions or comments they'd like to share, now's the time. I'm going to be scanning for somebody to raid in a moment. Ah, yes, thank you for coming, Magical Girl. It's always a pleasure seeing people willing to converse in the chat, but I love the lurkers just as much. Oh, you know, it looks like Airy Pie is still streaming. So I think we'll pause it there and send everybody over to Airy Pie. Although I'd imagine that quite a few of you are multi-stream drifting with her already. So, in the last moments that we have left, I would like to thank you all for joining me in exploring Dwarf Fortress for this past hour and change. I believe we'll be coming back to this in the future, since this is, by the nature of the Fortress mode, it's something that lends itself to longer-term play. And as we get more comfortable with the game, it will be easier to go on tangents and talk about things unrelated to Dwarf Fortress. Yes, lurkers and listeners are always welcome, Zero. You don't have to worry about that. So whatever time it is in your part of the world, I hope you're having a good one. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.